Hello students, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. In today's video, we are going to discuss about the recent volcanic eruptions that we have observed in the Iceland. So we are going to discuss what is unique about the Icelandic eruption, why volcanic eruption is something that happens very frequently in the small country of Iceland, and overall the general science or mechanism behind volcanoes and volcanic eruption. So first of all, to give you the background of the particular topic that we are going to discuss, recently, that means 2 days back, an eruption has begun somewhere in the western part of a region that is referred as Fagradalsfjall, that is situated somewhere close to the capital city of Iceland, that is Reykjavik. So if I try to understand its location in the map of Iceland, this is a small country of Iceland. Somewhere around this region is where we have the location of Fagradalsfjall. So this is situated, as we have discussed, somewhere about 50 kilometers south of the capital of Iceland. And when the volcanic eruption began, since then continuously it has been spewing a huge amount of lava. Lava is basically the molten rocks that comes out above the surface from deep below the earth's surface. And as long as the molten rock is present below the earth's surface, it is referred as magma. Once it reaches above the surface, it is referred as lava. So the volcanic eruption is continuously spewing lava as well as smoke that has risen to more than 100 meters or 330 feet into the air following weeks of seismic activity, that is the earthquake related activity. A month earlier also in the same region of Fagradalsfjall, shifting magma under the earth's crust has triggered hundreds of earthquakes that even cause what we can say is the break in the rocks of the Iceland, causing damage to the road infrastructure as well as electricity infrastructure. Seismologists then at the same time has warned that the quakes could be a precursor to a volcanic eruption, and Grindavik's 4,000 inhabitants were evacuated, taking that danger into account. So first of all, if we try to understand that why we are having a volcanic eruption in Iceland in general, or even this particular volcanic eruption in Fagradalsfjall in the Iceland region. Now if you look at the map of the world, so first of all we can see Iceland is a very small country situated somewhere in the northwestern region of Europe, basically between the land masses of Eurasia and a small inhabited island of Greenland. Now what makes Iceland small but interesting is that this country is situated at the fault line where two plates are kind of diverging related to each other. That means if you look at the map of Iceland, this boundary that you are seeing is what is referred as mid-Atlantic ridge, which basically is a boundary that separates the North American plate from the Eurasian plate, and both these plates are basically diverging away. That means they are moving away from each other, and since the plates move away from each other, it becomes a case of continental divergence, due to which a space is created for the magma that is situated below the earth's surface to rise up slowly, and this rising magma creates volcanic eruption all along the north to southern edge of the Iceland, that also triggers seismic events resulting into massive earthquake. So that is how we can explain the logic or mechanism behind the volcanic eruptions as well as earthquake in the Iceland. Now generally volcanic eruptions, it only triggers or makes headlines when the volcanic eruption is of humongous nature or some major volcanoes across the world this erupts. However, if you look at the data that we take from the Global Volcanism Program, that is institute of or part of the Smithsonian Institute in the United States of America, it indicates that there were 72 confirmed eruptions at some point during 2023 from 69 different volcanoes. Out of these 72, almost 22 of these eruptions were of very recent origin or very new in nature, that has started just in this particular year itself. But news, as we have discussed, or the major volcanic eruption only happens when main volcanic eruption happens across the major volcanoes of the world, such as Mount Etna in Italy, Kilauea volcano that is situated in the Hawaiian island of the Central Pacific. We have Mauna Loa again in the same region. We have Mount Merapi in Philippines, IF Halahakul, that is again a very major important volcano in Iceland, or Fagradalsfjall, that is the recent eruption which we are witnessing. The Global Volcanism Program counted 47 active eruptions on the same day of December 15th, 2023. So, if we talk about the relation between the Iceland and volcanoes, one thing we have already established, that since Iceland is situated on the mid-Atlantic ridge, which is a zone of divergence between the North American plate and Eurasian plate, obviously it is a hotbed of volcanism and the earthquake. However, if you look at the occurrences of volcanism in this area, Iceland itself has experienced in just past 2 years at least 4 eruptions in the Reykjanes Peninsula, which is the most populated region and corner of the Iceland. And also it is on the Reykjane Peninsula, you have the Reykjavik, that is the capital of Iceland, that is situated. It has one of the world's most effective volcanic preparedness program. Obviously, that is something logical, because if your entire country is situated on a divergent boundary, you have to have a good volcanic preparedness program if you want to tackle the volcanoes and its after impact, what we can say, seriously. So, keeping this into mind, authorities, as we have discussed in the beginning of the video, the eruption of the volcano that has begun in the Fagra del Swell has not only spewed lava, but also it is spewing huge amount of smoke, dust particles, volcanic ash particles into the atmosphere. Thus, they have raised the aviation alert to orange, because the volcanic eruption of that nature could pose a risk to the aircraft flying in the North Atlantic if ash spewed into the sky is huge in amount. Thus, other notable volcanic eruption that has happened apart from this Fagra del Swell, that was something that made a headline in 2010. Yeah, the volcanic eruption is, the volcano is called as Eyjafjallajökull, that is also situated in Iceland. So basically, if we talk about this particular volcanic eruption, it was relatively small, and also the casualty were not so much. But why it made into headlines is again because it has a widespread impact in the entire northwestern Europe, even sometimes to the southern part of Europe. That volcanic eruption actually released such huge amount of smoke, ash particles into the atmosphere that it resulted into ash clouds which spread over much of the European skies, and that caused grounding of most of European air travels or flights for more than a week. That means, especially if you talk about the northwestern European region, for over a week, flights were neither able to take off nor able to land, thus causing a complete logjam and decimation of the aviation transportation. The Eyjafjallajökull volcano had been dormant for nearly 2 centuries, that is 200 years, before it sprang back to life more than 13 years ago. So, the dormancy, the active phase and the extinct phase of volcano, what it is, we'll discuss in the later part of the video. Apart from that, one other thing that we can talk about is overall Iceland has only about 400,000 residents, a very small population given its small size. However, it has about 130 volcanoes. And since the 19th century, in Iceland, not a decade has gone by where a volcanic eruption has not happened. The occurrences of eruption remains entirely random. That means the geologist cannot predict that when any volcanoes will erupt or when in any particular area we can see the volcanic activity. That is why the preparedness program need to be watertight. The country straddles 2 tectonic plates, as I discussed before, which are divided by an undersea mountain chain that oozes molten hot rock or magma, or as we can call on the surface as the lava. The current seismic event has not affected one of the Iceland's best known volcanoes, that is Katla volcano, which some scientists worry is due for an eruption. And thus, Katla has erupted 5 times only since 1721 at intervals ranging from 34 to 78 years. And if it erupts in the near future, it can have huge impact not only on the Iceland but also the nearby European regions. So, till now we have talked about the volcanoes of Iceland. Now, if you refer to the general term, that what do we mean by volcano? The volcano's description can be best put by USGS, or what has been put by USGS, that is United States Geological Survey. It says that volcanoes are openings or vents where lava, that is molten rocks, tephra, that is small rock fragments, and steam erupt onto the Earth's surface. That is happening due to the internal disturbances or the difference in the temperature that exists between the mantle region and the bottom region of the crust. Volcanoes, as we can see, can happen both on the land, that is on the continental land masses, as well as on the ocean. They are in part a result of their own eruption, but also the general formation of our planet as tectonic plates move. So whether we have the ocean continental convergence, whether we have the oceanic convergence, or whether we have the continental continent divergence, or whether we have the oceanic divergence, in all these 4 kind of motion, we see the development of volcanic structure where we can see the trigger of volcanic eruption every now and then. Mountain ranges, for example, you talk about the mountain ranges of North America such as Rockies, mountain ranges of the western coast of South America such as Andes. These mountain ranges are basically nothing but a type of volcanic mountains that has formed due to the movement and collision of 2 tectonic plates. On one side we have the denser Pacific plate, On the other side, we have the lighter continental plates such as North American plate and South American plate. Now, what about the types of volcanoes? So, geographers generally describe volcanoes or classify volcanoes into 4 major types, depending upon what kind of lava the volcano possesses, what kind of lava movement we see during the eruption of volcano, and also the nature of the flow. So, based on these, the volcano can be classified into 4 types. First is shield volcano, which are characterized by large broad slopes. Obviously, because of lava is more fluid, they can travel to a longer distance before solidifying. The example is Mauna Loa volcano of Hawaii. The second type of volcano is composite volcano, which is very steep, having symmetrical slopes on both sides, and whenever eruption happens, it is very intense and explosive in nature. Generally, the volcanic dome, as you can see from here, is made up of multiple types of composition, such as it is solidified lava, we have the tephra, that is rock fragments, as well as we have the ash and dust clouds as well. Such volcano is Mayon volcano of Philippines, the image of which you can see clearly from here. The third kind of volcano is what is referred as lava domes, which are a smaller kind of volcano, again with steep sides, and through this kind of volcano, a very high viscosity of lava, a very highly viscous lava basically emerges out that solidifies very close to the vent or the opening through which the lava is oozing out. Such volcano is Showa Shinzan, situated in the region of Japan. And the fourth kind of volcano is what we refer as cinder cones, which is a very smallest or a small volcano having a single vent, single opening, erupts and produces cinders, ash and rocks generally. So in basically such kind of volcano, the amount of lava that reaches above the earth's surface is very less. Largely the volcanic eruption causes eruption of ash, clouds, cinders as well as rocks. The example is Sunset Crater of Arizona. So that is how we can classify the volcanoes. However, geographers have also classified volcanoes into other minor types, such as we have cryptodomes. Apart from that, we have super volcanoes. We have submarine volcanoes, volcanoes that is situated below the water level in the ocean, such as Loihi Seamount in the Hawaii. We have subglacial volcanoes, that is volcanoes found under the ice cap. The best example is obviously Iceland, the volcanoes such as Öræfajökull in the Iceland, and then some volcanoes are referred as mud volcanoes. For example, Ilusi mud volcano situated in Indonesia. Such volcanoes from time to time ejects mud, water and gases. There is absence of magma or lava. So that is how generally we can characterize the volcanoes. The categorization of volcanoes is also done on the basis of frequency or periodicity of eruption, and on that basis we can identify volcano into active volcano, dormant volcano and extinct volcanoes. Now active volcanoes are obviously such kind of volcano which is either erupting right now or recently there has been some sort of volcanic eruption. The earthquakes, storms, ground inflation and carbon dioxide or sulfur dioxide releases that is happening through a volcano are indicator of its activity. The best example is Kilauea volcano of Hawaiian island. The second kind of volcano is dormant. Dormant volcano are such volcanoes where there is no recent signs of any volcanic activity. However, in the future, there is a possibility of a fresh volcanic eruption. The example is Yellowstone, which is a dormant volcano in the California region of United States of America. As you can see from here, in the dormant volcano, the magma chamber is present below the volcanoes. However, the magma did not or does not have sufficiently high pressure as of now that it can push its way through the volcanic vent and can rise at the surface. But in the future, whenever magma pressure will increase, it can trigger sudden volcanic eruption. And the last volcano is what we can call as extinct volcano, which do not have any kind of magma chamber below the volcano. And since there is absence of magma chamber, no matter what happens in the future, there cannot be any possibility of eruption. Thus, such volcanoes are called as extinct volcanoes. The best example is Shiprock in the New Mexico. Again, here to add additionally, in India we have only one active volcano, that is Byron Islands, situated in the Andaman and Nicobar island groups of Indonesia. Now, overall, if you look at the distribution zone of volcanoes across the world, we can see the largest volcanic concentration is along the Pacific Ocean or around the Pacific Ocean, which is referred as the Circum-Pacific Belt. This extends all the way from South America, then to the North America, then to the island chains between the Eurasia and North American landmass, then the Kamchatka Peninsula of Russia, then it extends all the way up to Japan, Philippines, Indonesia, then to the Central Islands, Central Pacific Islands, and then all the way up to the New Zealand. So this is where more than 80% of global volcanoes or active volcanoes are basically situated. The second volcanic zone is around the Mediterranean Sea. That is due to the continental convergence between African plate and Eurasian plate. Third volcanic zone is around the mid-Atlantic ridge, as we have discussed, that is passing beneath the Iceland, the volcanic eruption that is in news recently, all the way up to the southern part of Atlantic. And the fourth is what we can call as a hotspot volcano, intraplate volcanoes, which is situated somewhere in the middle part of the central part of Pacific, the example of which is Hawaiian Island. So that is overall distribution of the volcanoes. Apart from that, if you pay close attention to this particular map, you can see from here that along the eastern coast of Africa, also we have a chain of volcanic mountains or chain of volcanoes. And that is because what is happening? We see a continental divergence where the western part of Africa is splitting away and eastern part of Africa is moving in the eastern direction. So due to this split, again the magma pushes its way, finds its way, and then rises to the region which is referred as the African Rift Valley or Great African Rift Valley. The volcanoes of Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, these are the volcanoes, or even the Democratic Republic of Congo, the volcanoes such as Nyamuragira, these are due to the CC divergence happening in between the African plate or along the African plate. Apart from that, the most famous volcanic eruptions if we talk about in the human history is of Kilauea volcanic eruption that has happened in the Hawaiian Island in the year 1983. So it is spewing spree continued since 1983, and even since last 35 years, it is continuously erupting. So that is one of the long-term eruptions that we see or that we encounter on the earth as far as the volcanic eruptions are concerned. Second example is of Dukono volcano in Indonesia that has started erupting in 1933 and still almost 90 years has passed. So since last 90 years, this volcano is continuously active and erupting. Third is Santa Maria in Guatemala, that is again in the South America. It began erupting in June 1922 and continues to erupt even to this day. That means almost since last 100 years, this volcano has been erupting. Then we have Yasur volcano in Vanuatu, that is in the Central Pacific region. First rumbled to life in about 1270 and is still erupting. That means if you look at this 1270, almost 1000 years, or we can say roughly 800 years has passed, and the volcano has been active since then. And last is Mount Etna, which is the Europe's most active volcano, another largest in the world as well in terms of the height, in terms of the amount of magma and the lava that comes out. So it is recorded volcanic activity dates back to 1500 BC as far as the Mount Etna is concerned, and since then it has erupted more than 200 times. So it is one of the most frequent eruptions that we see in the volcanic regions present along the Mediterranean coastline of Europe. Mount Etna is situated in the Italy. So these are the notable volcanic eruptions across the world. That is all about today's topic. I hope you understood about the regions behind the volcanic eruptions in the Iceland and general principles and mechanism behind the volcanoes and volcanic eruption. That is all for this video. Thank you very much.